Unit 6, Lesson 1, Video 3. Now let's talk about dependent. Again, we mentioned that dependent events affect the second event or following events. So let's see. Again, we're focusing on fundamental counting principle. So right away when I read this question, 16 teams are competing in a soccer match. Gold, silver, and bronze medals will be awarded to the top 3. How many? Okay, so how many tells me it's a counting principle. How many can be awarded? Now again, a counting principle says how many choices do you have at each stage? Well, we have 3 choices, 3 different stages. This would be considered stage 1, this would be considered stage 2, and this would be considered stage 3. And we have 16 teams that are competing. So now, because you cannot have a team take first, second, and third, we have a dependent situation. So we would consider that for gold, you would have 16 teams available. For silver, you would have 1 less, because 1 team has been placed into gold. So you'd have 15 left. And bronze, you'd have 14 left. Now again, we said that fundamental counting principle is multiplication. So you would still multiply the number of choices you have at each stage. And again, that's the part of the how-to videos if you're interested in how to know how to do them and to calculate them. But right now, it's just a matter of, do we know it's a counting principle question? And yes, it is, because it says how many. Next one says the top 5 runners in the cross-country meet will receive trophies. Okay, if there are 22 runners in the race, how many ways can the trophies be awarded? Again, key there is how many. Now we have the top 5 runners. So we have 5 stages. The question is how many runners are eligible at each stage. So the first place would be 22 people are available to get first place. But second place, so that's stage 1, stage 2 would be, well, if 1 person's been placed into the top spot, you'd have only 21 left. And you'd continue down until you've used up 5 stages. And again, fundamental counting principle says multiply. So you would multiply those numbers. Again, that can be covered at a later time if you're interested. But we know it is a counting principle question. Our last one, a 10-member steering committee that is preparing to study for the public transportation needs of its town will select a chairperson, vice chairperson, and a secretary from the committee. No person can serve in more than 1 position. Okay, that's what makes it dependent. And again, the key here is how many. So it's a counting principle. And when we get to permutations, we'll notice that it's very similar to this, but the difference here is that not everybody is going to get to do something. And that makes it a counting principle question instead of a permutation. We'll talk about that later too. And this ends Unit 6, Lesson 1, Video 3.